Okay, well, it's just hit 5:30 and we've got a few people on the line now, so we might kick things off. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight for our music degree webinar. My name is Kate and I work in the Future Students team here at the University of Newcastle. And I'm very excited tonight to be joined by some of our wonderful academics from the School of Creative Industries. So on the line tonight, I've got Associate Professor John Drummond, Dr. Helen English, Sue Carson, Nathan Scott, and Nicole, as well as current music student Michael Leggett. So before we get started, I'm just going to cover off on some quick webinar housekeeping. So tonight, all of your attendee lines are muted, but you will have the option to put any questions you may have in the question and answer box that you'll find located at the bottom of your screen. So we've allocated some time at the end of the presentation for question and answer. So if you think of anything throughout, please feel free to put it in that box and we'll get to it towards the end. I'm just going to launch a very quick poll on your screen tonight that I'd love all of our audience to have a go at voting in. So this will just show us your understanding of the webinar topic before the webinar begins, and then we're going to launch another one at the end of the presentation to see how that's improved. So I'll leave that up for a few minutes while everybody casts their vote. Your votes are anonymous tonight. So almost everyone voted. I'll just give it a little bit longer and then we'll get started. Okay, great. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm going to hand straight over to John and he's going to kick things off.
Hello everyone, great to have you here tonight to be able to talk about our Bachelor of Music degree. To start with, on behalf of the University of Newcastle, I respectfully acknowledge the traditional custodians, the Awakpagul and Warramai people on whose traditional land this campus of the University of Newcastle is located, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Tonight with us from the BMUS team, we have Helen English, Nathan Scott, Sue Carson and Nicole Carroll, and later in the presentation I'll invite them to talk about their various focuses in the music degree. I'm John Drummond and I'm currently the program convener for the BMUS. My background is classically trained as a piano playing, violin playing, French horn playing, composer-obsessed musician who discovered the joys of making bleeps and blurps with strange synthesizers and computers. So there's a photo of me in action driving a modular synth. Let's go to the next slide. So some key fast facts about our BMUS degree. Our degree is 3 years full-time, but many of our students take it as a part-time offering. We are located in the Newcastle City precinct, but specifically most of our teaching takes place in the Newcastle Conservatorium building. But we also take advantage of some of the modern teaching spaces in New Space, the glassy tower in the center of the city, and hopefully opening mid next year, studio facilities at a honeysuckle building, which is currently taking place. For 2021, and currently we don't actually base our entry on ATAR, we actually base our entry on audition. For performers, that's as simple as playing a few pieces for us and attending an interview. And for songwriters, composers and producers, that's simply submitting your examples of your work. Often for our HSC graduates, it may well be their portfolio of compositions or sound works that they submitted for the HSC. Assumed knowledge, published is, we suggest, Music 1 or equivalent or AMEB. However, many of our students come from multiple pathways. Many of our students are often mature age students, so basing that on audition, some of them may well be professional musicians. And so the audition then is the basis of entry into the pathway for that. Let's go to the next slide. So, based in the Conservatorium building, we have many practice rooms and collections of instruments. You'll see Adam Manning's percussion studio in the bottom image there. We have recording studios, and we also can take advantage of the facilities over at New Space for our modern teaching labs. We're also currently building some new studio spaces on level 3 that actually become part of the concert hall, which perhaps let's go to the next slide. So we're very proud of our concert hall. It not only features acoustic instruments, but we also put many of our bands and singers and electronic works in there. And the studio facilities there that we're building on the level 3 will actually tie into the concert hall, so the concert hall can be recorded as well. Many of our events take place at external venues. I'm sure you all know Lizottes in the Underground, and many more venues, of course. Our current COVID world has curtailed that somewhat. Starting in 2020, we've based our offering around the idea of 2 pathways. You can do a performance major or a songwriting and production major. So pre-2020, many of our students, performers, wanted to compose and produce and write, and many of our producers and composers and creatives wanted to also perform. And the timetable kind of required the students to be in 2 places at one time. So rolling out from 2020 onwards, we're offering a very clear pathway to allow students to do either or both. And not only both, but in fact, you can actually combine that with another major being offered from the School of Creative Industries, either from our colleagues in communication or our colleagues in visual communication design. However, within those 2 pathways, we still offer performance, instrumental voice, and of course, the traditional music theory, sound production, music research, and composition songwriting pathways. Next slide. So yes, you can choose to do a single major in performance or a single major in songwriting. However, if you take all of our music courses all together, you'll end up basically with what we call a double major in performance and songwriting. Or you can use a third of your course to take a pathway as a double major with our colleagues in the School of Creative Industries through communication and media production, or through visual communication, design and animation. So next slide hopefully gives you some visuals to kind of explain that. So in the music degree, we have a core. So there are things like, music history, often referred to as sound, music and texture in terms of its course title. Fundamental techniques in developing your rhythmic techniques and offerings in terms of engaging with the music industry. And then the dedicated music majors. So if it's a performance major, then it's obviously performance major courses, collaborative music making, plus our music theory courses, or in terms of songwriting production, that's where you'll find our songwriting production major. And then a third of the degree is really free for those students to find their own pathway. Many of our students then choose those courses from the offerings in the music majors. And as I said, if you in fact simply select all music courses, you'll end up with a double major. Or you can go modern and hybrid and T-shaped, or a Renaissance student, if you will, and actually take a third of your courses elsewhere to develop those skill sets. Yes, so I think the next slide kind of hopefully describes that process. We also then offer the music degree through a Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Music combined course. In this situation, you'll be studying for 4 years, and you'll then got access to all of the courses in both the BA and the BMUS. And quite a few of our students actually take this pathway. It gives them access to the BA courses in a very structured way, plus the BMUS courses. Yep, next slide. So for a student, this pathway will look like what we describe in terms of our program plan. And so there you can see our core courses laid out, and providing the student with lots of options there as how to they engage with the music major and their electives. Next slide. And yes, so for the Bachelor of Music, Bachelor of Arts combined, that becomes a 4-year experience to combine 2 degrees, which would typically be, a 6-year study program if you took them separately. And once again, many of our students do that. Why study music at the University of Newcastle? We're very proud of our dedicated creative spaces that we offer, both in terms of production spaces, rehearsal spaces, practice spaces, lab spaces in our brand new space building, lab spaces in our currently being built honeysuckle facility. Many of our assessment tasks are focused around real world tasks, so often they're actually directed towards in 3rd year, you might make an album, you might collaborate with other students to produce a series of works. And we're very focused on authentic learning in that context. We are very keen about the idea that we have 1/3 of our degree as electives, and to that extent hoping that our students then can get those multidisciplinary skills to accommodate a contemporary, ever-changing workforce that they will face in the future. Many of our staff are active in the music community, and I'll soon introduce them, both as performers, practitioners and researchers. And we also then bring in many casuals who are active professional musicians, and through industry connections such as our connection with our various record labels and industry practitioners, providing connections into music industry, for example, BMG record label. And also noting that, as I've said before, 2020 onwards, not only can you treat 1/3 of your degree as electives, but you could also combine that as a major from within the School of Creative Industries. So on the line, we currently have Helen English and Sue Carson and Nathan Scott and Nicole Carroll. Sue Carson, did you want to say a few words about your approach to teaching in the performance stream, working extensively with our vocalists and our guitarists and our various other performers?
Sure. So the performance courses are just that. They are performance courses where we focus on performance skills. We work in groups. Usually we'll get the students to form small to medium-sized groups. They can be of any genre, any type of repertoire, any type of music making. We're very, very open with the types of music that everyone can make in the degree. We have, like I said, group lessons, and we do workshopping. We do theoretical study of certain, genres and techniques around voice, guitar. We have dedicated tutors who, give information about the instruments as well as the performance skills and the ensemble and the collaboration skills, and particularly how that applies to industry and the career pathways that you can take in performance types of skills. So it's fun. It's great for students to network a lot with each other, and I think that it's very good environment, I think, for music making and creativity. So they usually have a really good time. It's a great pathway.
And I think we also have Helen English online, as well as being a fantastic pianist. Helen is currently doing some really exciting research in the area of arts, health, arts, music crossover, and I think engaging our 3rd years and honours students and PhDs in that pathway. Helen, did you want to talk about some of your research in that area?
Yeah. Hi everyone. I know a lot of our new students, commencing students, are really passionate about what music can do for people, and they've seen the effects themselves, and perhaps some of you might be thinking, oh, can I take this further after a degree? So yeah, I became really interested in working out what music actually does for us and how we use it in everyday life, but also how we can help people who need help, in the sense of they're marginalized or they're hurting or whatever. So yes, I've been running a project at the moment. I'm running a big project which is for songwriting with older adults. And some of them may never have written music before, so that's very exciting. And I also work with music communities, finding out what people get out of belonging to an amateur brass band or a swing band. And yeah, so anything like that I'm really interested in. I've currently got a third year who's working on how music can improve your performance in sport and are the differences across male and females. So that's just a few examples. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Helen. Taking that songwriting segue, I might introduce Nathan, who does a fair bit of teaching into the songwriting production major along with Nicole. But Nathan, did you want to talk about some of our approaches to songwriting that's happening in BMUS?
Yes, certainly. Yes, my name's Nathan. I work in several different areas, including technology and songwriting. One thing I found really interesting in our Bachelor of Music degree is we have a lot of students from a wide range of musical styles. And certainly through songwriting is one avenue we've found that can be explored and taken further. So the actual musical styles you may have interest, you can then extend on those styles through personal songwriting. Obviously that includes some type of technology as well. So a singer-songwriter may include performance, but also being able to record and work in the studio to develop those works. Composers, same category, being able to take music further and extend it to real instruments rather than just using virtual instruments. So certainly songwriting is one of those pathways that a lot of students take. Quite often songwriting is done in addition to an instrument, but not necessarily always the case. So if you do sing and you also work in songwriting, perhaps the double majors for you. Thank you, John.
And also taking that theme of our songwriting production major as a segue to introduce Nicole. Nicole's joined us this year. Nicole, did you want to talk about how you're bringing our second and third year students into more advanced attitudes and skill bases in working with music tech?
Sure. Hi, I'm Nicole. I teach digital composition. So that's really the creative application of music technology, which is a complement to our studio production classes. So we are working with programs such as Logic and Ableton Live, and Ableton Push, and a host of hardware, including modular synthesizers, to not only develop compositions, but live performance practices. And that also includes programming, so learning how, not just how to use software, but how to make software to make wild sounds that you've never heard before. Yeah.
Thanks, Nicole. I'm aware we've got a few questions building up, but I'll just talk to this slide. So yes, the career pathways our students follow are many and varied. Traditionally, many of our students actually go on to take on a master's in teaching and then go on to teach in high schools, combining both their BMUS degree and a master's in teaching. Many of our students go on to set up private music studio teaching models, and touching on some of the work that Helen's doing, working in outreach and taking on an additional music therapy degree. However, as you can see from the list there, and any Google of music careers will open up a multitude of pathways, and that can range from both traditional performance and composition through to new opportunities in the world of music technology. There's been quite a few questions that I might just see if I can scan through and answer. Can you do a double degree in songwriting and media production? So yes, that would be a double major. So you would enroll in the BMUS degree, and then you would take both the production and songwriting majors as part of your plan. How big is the music student cohort? We have about 50 to 60 students per year, roughly. Many of those students go part-time, so they appear and leave, but that's a kind of ballpark concept. what kind of skills will I learn in the production and songwriting major? So we have dedicated courses for songwriting, and we have dedicated courses for music production. And then we also have advanced music technology skills in music programming, developing interactive systems, developing real-time synthesis, and working with tool sets like Max and Pure Data. Will I study all my classes in Newcastle City? Mostly. However, if you choose wild and flexible alternatives for your 1/3 electives, you may well find yourself at Callaghan studying languages or subjects in the humanities or maths even. So it does depend on your elective pathways as to how much of your course is in the city. What does a week in first year look like? Do I get a lot of practical time? Yes, so our courses are a mix of theory and practical. For our performance subjects, you will be playing your instrument or singing. And for our songwriting production students, we will be making songs and working in the studio. However, there are also theory subjects around music theory and chords and harmonies and music arranging. And so they will require some listening and reading. Of course, in our COVID world, we are being super flexible. So some of our courses may be online via Zoom, but hopefully we will be back in the classroom once we're all over this current scenario. Are we able to get access copy of the info presentation slides? Yes, I believe so. Does the fact that I'm a jazz drummer and pianist limit the amount of content I can learn about the topic? Hopefully not, but there is only so many hours in the day, but we certainly embrace multiple musical pathways. I might just pause on answering all the online questions because they're coming in thick and fast, but I'm noting time, and I might just ask our current music student who is online. Mick, did you want to reflect on your experiences in the BMOS degree?
Yeah, for sure. G'day, guys. Yeah, so I'm a second year student at the moment. And so for me, I went straight from high school and convinced my parents that all I needed to do to get into uni was just to do an audition and I could get into music and have the time of my life. And that's pretty much what's happened so far. So I'm actually a beatboxer, and I started off playing the trombone for about 10 years. And then when did something weird happen in year 11, year 12, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to start beatboxing and I'm going to do it for my HSC. So I did it for my HSC. My parents thought I was crazy, and then got into BMOS. And since then, I've just been able to do so much awesome stuff with the beatboxing and be able to collaborate with heaps of crazy, awesome musicians. And it's really just been an awesome time. And I couldn't recommend it enough. If you love music and you don't know what you want to do for a career, one of my mates did music for like a year and a half. And then he's decided, you know, what he's going to do. And so he's moved on a little bit, but music was a great stepping stone for him. And now he's still in bands and he's still involved in music. And for me, you know, I'm going to do music teaching. So like John Drummond was saying, some people do go on to do their Masters of Education. That's my plan. And so I'm going to end up being a high school music student. But at the moment, it's just been amazing. It's been fantastic and I love it.
Thanks, Mick. Hopefully a high school music teacher, because you've already been a high school music student. But it's awesome to have your input. I'm going to plow through a few more questions. Is it possible to do a double major in music performance instead of, say, songwriting? So you would just be doing the music performance major, but yes, you are welcome to perform more than one instrument at a time, whether that be from a classical perspective or a contemporary perspective or whatever genre that you want to explore there. Are there opportunities to play music at uni clubs, performance opportunities? Yes. Hopefully more so after we get through this COVID world, but yes, we do encourage and support that. Do you offer double degrees with education? There's no formal double degree at an undergraduate level with education. However, you can take many of the education courses through the 1/3 elective pathway. Would you consider reading music as a central course requirement? We have musicians from many, many different backgrounds. So some of our guitarists are purely focused around guitar notation. Our various performers on various instruments may well read music for those instruments, and our production students and creatives in that domain may still need to brush up on some of those skills, and we have some introduction to music theory courses to support that. So our cohort is wide and diverse. My instrument is voice. Will this go against me while moving through the music studies? Yes, so I guess I'm assuming that's referring to COVID, and we are very mindful of that. And so Sue Carson might want to talk to how she's approaching vocal teaching in that domain right now, but hopefully we will get through that.
Voice, yes. Well, what we're doing at the moment is a limited, I guess, less singing, but we're working out ways that we can still manage to sing in the classroom, and we just have to be very well distanced. And there are ways to do it, to still learn stuff, and we do Zoom sessions as well. That's what we're doing through COVID, probably, in smaller groups to manage that. But we are certainly managing, and we're actually thinking about going outside the building sometime soon. When the weather gets a little bit better, we might actually do some classes outside so we can spread out, but we take every opportunity to actually vocalise, and it can be a lot of different ways to manage that. Yeah.
I note that we only have 4 minutes left, so in terms of time management, I might refer back to Kate as to how you want to conclude this session. There's a few unanswered questions on Q&A.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, we can answer a couple more if you like, or we can kind of direct you to, we have a future students email address. So I guess any follow-up questions from the audience that we don't get to tonight, you could email future students. So that's all one word, futurestudents@newcastle.edu.au. Please feel free to send any questions you may have through there, and we can pass that on to the relevant person to get back to you. We have a couple more minutes. So John, I don't know if you want to go through any more questions or...
I'm happy to talk through them. I'm just aware that, yes, time
yeah,
so
might give it 5 more minutes, and then we'll wrap things up, and anyone who has follow-up questions, yeah, that email address is fine.
During your course, can you choose one instrument or can you do many? You are welcome to do many. Most of our students do focus on one instrument. We offer introduction to keyboard, introduction to guitar, introduction to percussion for students who have never done that before, and that gives you some introductory skills there. But you may well be an expert singer and guitarist, for example, or in my case, I played French horn and piano, and you are welcome to bring both those skill sets to the performance major. How and when do you choose a particular pathway? Yes, it does sound more daunting than it really is. Essentially, you have to do our core courses. You don't get an option. And then you will be choosing a major. But no matter which major you choose, you still have access to all of our music courses through the elective pathway. So it's actually much more flexible than it may sound. Are music assessments, including performance, required to be played with a backing band or other instruments, or can I, for example, study my experimental solo drumming and study that here? The performance courses for 2020 are titled things such as collaborative music making and jazz and funk and fusion and popular music and professional project. And really you are quite free to either collaborate with other musicians in the course, and many of our musicians create bands through joining the BMOS, but equally you are also able to bring in your professional profile and professional work into the BMOS and use that for your assessment items. Voice is my main instrument. Is that enough? Of course, as Sue Carson can probably talk to, many of our students are vocalists, full stop. That's what they want to do. What would be the minimum requirement for attendance in a part-time single major performance degree, i.e. number of days per week? I hope to continue part-time during university semesters. So technically, that's really up to the timetable and how friendly it is. So some semesters you may find that everything aligns and all your courses are achievable within a few days per week. And others, unfortunately, the timetable may spread you across a very, awkward mapping, including, yes, although you are music students, you may well have an 8 a.m. class on a Monday, ouch. However, on the whole, you're doing full-time, you're doing 4 courses per semester, and that would roughly equate to 2 to 3 hours a week per course contact, roughly. Hopefully that answers that question. Does the songwriting major have any performance elements? If you purely do the songwriting and production major, you could technically get away without performing, although we do encourage you to do some performance activities. We like to push the boundaries, but technically, I guess you could do the songwriting production major without performing. But equally, you have access to the performance courses as part of your elective. The questions are still coming through, but I noticed that we are at 6:01. So once again, I might defer to Kate for your advice here.
No worries. Well, as I mentioned before, any questions we didn't get to, if you'd like to send them to futurestudents@newcastle.edu.au, we'd be happy to follow them up. Alternatively, if you have some questions, we can get back to you via your email address if you haven't left it as an anonymous question in the Q&A box. So I might launch our last evaluation poll, and I might just get Mick on the line. We've got 2 new platforms that we're really excited to share with you. So it's our Ask a Student and Ask an Academic. So while I launch this poll, if everyone wouldn't mind voting who's in the audience tonight, and I'll get Mick to talk a bit about these.
Awesome, thanks Kate. So yeah, we've got our new Ask a Student platform. So basically you can go onto our websites and check out this cool new platform where you get to talk to current students. And so you'll see their profile there, you'll see their photo, their name, and a bit about what degree they're studying. And then you can just flick them a question whenever they're free to, they've got the app. I've got it too, so you get the app on your phone, and then all our students, current students that are on that, will see your message come through, and we'll help you out and answer any questions that you've got. And then on to our next slide, we have Ask an Academic. So fairly similarly to that, you can see all the different names, the different profiles, and what degrees that they're involved in. And so you can go on and ask the academics any questions that you have, anything about the degrees, about student life and things like that. And so we're really here to help you have the best time possible at UON. And I know as a student that my tutors, my lecturers have really looked after me. And so there's plenty of support, and we just want to help you guys have an awesome time and really, really get heaps from the degree. So that's that slide as well.
Great, thanks Mick. So we've just got our final poll up on the screen. I might just give it 1 more minute for those last few people to vote. But thank you so much everybody who joined us tonight. And we hope you got a lot out of it. And thank you so much to our wonderful panel of presenters for taking the time this evening to present.
Bye everyone, all the best.
Great. Well, that's everyone voted. So thanks so much, everybody. Have a lovely night.